Hey everybody, and thank you for joining this first balance seminar. I'm so glad that you decided to take the first steps towards correcting your autoimmune disorder, or what you've been led to believe as an autoimmune disorder. This balance seminar was designed for you, and I remember, like myself, I had gone through and I didn't know what to do and I didn't know where to go, and there was so much information out there and it was just so confusing. And that was one of the primary reasons why we put this course together. So it was something that was easy to follow, it was resourceful, and it was an easy path and guide to help someone who has been led to believe, like yourself, like I was at one point in my life, down a path that had a result and an outcome that I wanted. Now, your autoimmune disorder may make you feel like this, or the information overload you're experiencing may make you feel like this, or like this, with just completely upside down. You just don't know where to go because there's just so much conflicting information. But my goal for you is to make you feel like this, like Mr. Suave here, with the full head of hair, calm, cool, collected, and just enjoying life. And really, this is the goal, this is the outcome, and this is the result that you can expect through the balanced course. And so, unlike my counterpart over here, Mr. Suave, hi, I'm Scott Burgess, and I've been in healthcare for the last 20 plus years as a CapEx insider. And CapEx means capital expenditure, where hospitals spend at least $150,000 up to multi-million dollars on capital equipment. And my specific role as a CapEx insider was I helped hospitals, administrators, surgeons, all sorts of clinical staff members, architects, engineers, help erect towers or new spaces within the hospital, specifically in the intraoperative MRs, intraoperative CTs, ICUs, general operating rooms, emergency trauma bays. So simply put, if you've been in a hospital anywhere up and down the East Coast, more than likely I was part of that project, or I had developed a portion of that operating space or that ICU, etc. Now, this is what you would call a CAD file, specifically a Revit file. So we would start off with design modeling or design plans like this, where we would all round table. Now, this is the hospital staff, and again, the surgeons, the architects, the engineers, and we would put together the concept and the plans of what that space needed to be transformed into. We would model it out to make sure that we captured all the needs of the clinical space to make sure that the outcome for the patient were successful. Now, once we got through that model, you'll see here up in the top left corner, this is kind of like pre-construction. So think of a checklist. We'll make sure that what they would call like the utility matrix, med gases, power, data, and all the services that would need to go into the modalities or other pieces of big capital equipment, that it was there and it wasn't missed. Because once you close up those walls, it was really, really expensive to go back in and correct it. So we'd go back in, we make sure everything was there, and we do our checklist. And then you can see in the bottom left and the bottom right, that's the finished result. And then up in the upper right-hand corner, there's me, taking a picture at the end of one of our, projects that we had finished down in, and this, I think this case was down in Florida when I was living down there. But then we'll go back, we'll check the Revit file, we'll check the 3D modeling tools, and we'll make sure that everything is accounted for before we go up and close the walls, close the ceilings, etc. This is a finished product. This is what we would call a hybrid operating room. Now, this serves two purposes. This is for catheterization, where someone's, what I would call their pipes being clogged up, so the arteries, the veins, and they would have to go in, and this is where you would hear if someone saying, hey, they had 80% blockage of their arterial vessels going to the heart. So to go in and they would put stents, or they would go in and again, like clean the pipes, if they will, right? Or if they could not clean the pipes, if they could not put the stent in, they would have to do emergency surgery and they'd have to crack the chest open, and they would have to do bypass surgery, etc. So this is what these rooms accomplish. So for people who are in that type of need, completely necessary, and really there's something that's completely needed. But again, that was the environment that I was part of. That was the environment that I was involved with for the last 20 plus years. But here's the thing, this is who I really am. So I am a husband of 22 plus years. I'm a father of 4 beautiful children. I love to hike, watch movies, play video games. I'm very, very active. I'm always outside, snowboarding, riding bikes, riding skateboards, you name it. This is who I am really. Love, classic movies, especially the funny ones. Love Adam Sandler. But the thing is, I was satisfied during that time earlier in my life with the status quo. I was part of the typical rat race, really wasn't paying attention to what was going on. But I noticed in my environment where I worked every day that something was wrong, and that patients weren't not getting better. They were just constantly being sick. And here's the thing though. So I was not an employee of the hospital. I was an external consultant. And even I noticed, because again, when you're building these projects, or excuse me, when you're building these towers with these projects, you have to go back and constantly visit these rooms in these design, what they call OAC meetings, which means owner, architect, contractor, to make sure that everything's on schedule against what they call like a Gantt schedule. So I noticed that during my consulting years that, again, even though I was not an employee of the hospital, I was noticing that the same patients were coming back. And I was like, why is that? So my curiosity like really spiked here. And I really found that something was significantly wrong inside just healthcare as it is, or what some people refer to now as, the sick care model. And I wanted something completely different, not just for myself and my friends, but for my family, because I knew that, because again, I was in status quo. I was going to the grocery stores and, buying food off the shelves and just not really paying attention to what I was eating, that eventually myself and my family and the people that I loved the most, that were closest to me, would eventually be going down the same path. And I didn't want that. So I took matters into my own hands. I really started deep diving and I began studying. So right here, these are all the accolades. Here are all the accomplishments. Here's everything that I've studied for the last decade plus. And actually courses, and I still study today, and I'm keeping up on everything that's going on. So you'll see like there's GOTA, there's personality archetypes, there's NLP, PDTR, PTTR, and I don't mean to throw these terms out there like you would understand what they are, but I've done my homework and I have identified that there is in a completely other world, the naturopathic, holistic world that's out there that allows for people to heal naturally without all the synthetics and without all the BS that we've been led to believe that we need to remain healthy. Because frankly, when I realized this, the epiphany happened. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Why don't they teach us the information? Like, where is this in school? Like, where is all this information? I had to go out and actively find it. And even for the people who did know it, even those people were like myself, who I would consider like really smart people, they didn't know about half of these different techniques and skill sets. So, I'm not what you would call like a typical learner. I'm someone who you call like a syntopical learner. So I get a lot of different ideas and thoughts, and I merge them together to create my own comprehensive, non-nuanced understanding of that topic, that skill, and that adjustment in my lifestyle. So I basically get a bunch of ideas, and I can concatenate them together to make sure that it's complete coverage, that I have a full understanding of what's actually going on with the person, with the concept, with the idea, with the application, etc. So for the most part, this is what I would call like a gap analysis. Now, I was also a Division I football athlete. So I played over at Northeastern University where, I was a linebacker, and my coaches taught me to always look between the X's and the O's to be able to find where the gaps were and to be able to make the play there. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So I love tackling major complex problems and basically figuring out how other people approach those thought patterns. And that's a key word here, patterns, and addressing it the same way or differently to find out, is it conclusive? Did they really solve the problem? What's missing? That's just how I think. And I'm looking there going, tell me more. I'm curious. So I never really stopped at like, oh, okay, because the whole status quo thing obviously was not working for me. So I basically took everything that I had learned, and again, I smashed it together. And this is where we came up with, and I'll just stop here. And so you'll see here, we wrote, I think we're on our 14th book now. We've also went through really understanding the emotional system of the body, which is basically everything. We developed a couple of different supplements with mushrooms we're going to talk about in just a second. And then we just converged everything together to make sure that, because there isn't one answer. And here's the thing that I also found out through experience, is that there's so much confusion out there, and everyone really is so dynamic as far as where they are in their current state, that you need a ton of skill sets to be able to figure out where that person is and then how to guide them out of where they presently are. So to complement this new lifestyle, we created two businesses. One's Balanced Naturopathics, as well as Rhizomatic Gardens. So at Balanced Naturopathics, I integrate a holistic approach, including functional neurology, applied kinesiology, NHC psychology, and to promote optimized health. And it's really cool, in my opinion, because I strive for excellence to make sure that you have the result that you're looking for by focusing on unconventional methods rather than trends, okay? I definitely don't follow the trends. I'm not a trend follower. I'm looking not to break the rules either, but I'm looking for the gaps. I'm looking between the X's and the O's. And it's generally pretty simple. And the reason for that is because it comes down to one word and one major symptom, and that's inflammation. And once you understand that that's all autoimmunity or whatever condition that you may be going through right now, been led to believe that you have, or some kind of genetic disorder, it's just inflammation. Now, I know inflammation hurts and it's uncomfortable. I get it. I've been there. So that's through my experience why I'm expressing that. But the thing is, reverse the inflammation. How do you do that? Most people are over confusing or thinking too much about it, one, and then confusing it, two. And that's what makes it really, really simple to me. So it's like, how do you reduce the inflammation? And it comes down to 3 modes. So, and you'll actually notice if you go back to kind of the accolades and the courses that I had gone through, but Matrix Energetics, they teach us that, and I want to teach you now, that it comes down to 3 modes. Your body has 3 major modes to it: the structural, bony; the functional, which is all your soft tissue; and then the chemical, which is the food that you eat, the water that you drink, the air that you breathe, anything that's chemical. So they all have a balance and relationship with each other. And that's where we play the most. And that's on top of or in relation to the 6 systems, which we're definitely going to be reviewing as we go through all the additional seminars. But then on top of balance and naturopathics, we developed Rhizomatic Gardens. And it's really unique. And here's why. So Rhizomatic Gardens is a functional mushroom company that we developed. And I remember watching the movie Avatar, I don't know how many years ago, and I remember listening to the phrase that blue cheddar after they were looking at the hologram of the planet and like where their home base was, where, you know, the Na'vi were all living together. And I remember looking at the hologram, and underneath was all that blue stuff. Well, that blue stuff was mushrooms, specifically mycelium. And everything on our planet, everything touches, communicates, uses mycelium, period, full stop, even our bodies. So we developed Rhizomatic Gardens to complement balanced naturopathic. But here's the thing. We're not prescribing a whole food functional mushroom long term. We suggest that you use it for a certain period of time and then stop using it, because you should only be eating whole food, and that should be what's regulating your lifestyle and making sure you're not getting inflamed. And if something does occur, then you use one of those mushroom stacks. And we'll go through that later on in some of the seminars. But that's the real reason why we put those 2 companies together, because dynamically, they're unstoppable. And you're going to find that you'll see what I'm talking about as we get through there. So we wanted to put these 2 together to complement our new lifestyle and what we believe. And again, I'm 50 years old, and I'm not going to brag about myself, but I had some issues. Now I'm past those issues, and all I can say is that it works, okay? So use me as a reference for that. But it led me to this point. What is my purpose? And my purpose here is to guide you. It really is, because I've already gone through what some of you have gone through, not specifically your each in particular condition, but I've already gone through my own series of what I believe were some illnesses, right? But then at the same time, I want to empower you. I want to show you the example or the reference that you don't have to believe what you've been led to believe as far as what your condition has been said in the title that they gave you. And to break free from the cycle of pain, discomfort, and anything else because of synthetics that you've been led to believe that you need to be able to live on a day-to-day basis. But additionally, I want to make sure that you're uncovering the truth about real sustainable health and what it takes to get to that lifestyle. Because I'll tell you what, it comes down to one word, and that's discipline. If you are disciplined, this will be in a snap. It'll be over. I promise you. It's just a little like glimpse in your timeline of life where you're going to go, my gosh, like had I known this earlier, I would never have X. So the truth is, the information that we're going to be showing you and sharing with you and discussing with you in our community has been suppressed. It really has. And a lot of the studies and references that we're going to be pulling up here in this course and seminar come from as early as 1910, 1920s, 1930s. And what I had discovered and experienced is that after 1950, for the most part, everything else is BS. So you may be asking, why don't they talk about it anymore in the mainstream media? Because they want you to keep buying. And you may start thinking, buying what, right? And The answer is more synthetics, more pharmaceuticals, and more importantly, belief systems. They want you to believe that you need X to live Y, or you need Y to achieve X. Whatever the story is, that's why they want you to not have the real information, so you have to buy from them. So you're padding their pockets, so they're becoming richer, and they have the profits and everything else. The real issue here is belief systems, and that's the key. There's more information today that's becoming more available, which is uncovering about what you've been led to believe your entire life is absolutely not true. And this is a hard thing for a lot of people to understand and to accept. But what you really have to watch out for is autosuggestion. So the practice of autosuggestion by the method of Emile Coué by C. Harry Brooks is a book that was written in the late 1800s. And he was a French chiropractic who came over here to the United States and started teaching everyone some of these techniques that are referenced in the book. It's an incredible book. But here's the thing. Have you ever heard of a story where a patient has gone to see a doctor, and let's just say they have, we're going to call it like X illness or disease, and they say, hey, by the way, you have 4 months to live, or you have 4 months to, get your situation and your affairs in order, right? Now, here's the gig. If someone agrees to that, that means they have accepted what they have been told, okay, which is a mind virus, which is implanted, okay? Now, on the other side, you have another patient coming in, and they've been told these same circumstances. Hey, you have 4 months to live. You need to get your affairs in order. And they say, no, that's not true. I don't believe that. I'm going to beat it. Okay. The person generally who has accepted that mind virus is usually going to have, gone through, the turmoils, the trials and turmoils in the beginning. And by the 3rd month, before the 4th month, they're typically going to pass away. The other person who did not accept, they survive. Right? More often they survive because they do not believe the outcome, because they're willing to go through what it takes to make the changes, to make the lifestyle adjustments. So that's what I mean by autosuggestion. So autosuggestion is, as you'll read the book here, and we'll provide the link so you can download it for free so you can listen to it for yourself. You'll understand when you read the book that it's really incredible how impactful your words are. And I learned this a long, long time ago. And that's why we mention this now. And here's why. Here's the greatest point you're going to learn out of all the seminars. No one gets paid if you're well. So let me say that again. No one gets paid if you're healthy. No one gets paid if nothing's wrong with you, okay? It's a financial trap, okay? It's a wire string, or it's a wire line right to your purse strings, okay? So that way they're constantly pulling in revenue. So their MMR, so their monthly recurring revenue, is they can guarantee you on $30 for a prescription, or $500 for a prescription, whatever your coverage may be. So see what I'm talking about here? So I know this because I was a CapEx insider. I saw and experienced what was going on. I was witnessing people not getting better. Remember, I was an external person, external consultant to the people who worked inside the hospitals. And I myself saw repeating patients coming in, and they were not getting better. They were just constantly coming in, doing their checkups, and thinking that that was their new life, that everything was okay. And that's not the case. Because of that experience, this is why I decided to basically change everything. But moreover, here's what I did. So remember, syntopical learner, I just don't stop at one area. I just keep going. I'm so overly passionate and just obsessed with making sure that people have the tools. I designed my own tool, and it's called My Deficiencies. So as a result of taking a synthetic vitamin or a synthetic medication or a synthetic whatever, you simply type that into the app, and it then tells you the deficiency that is creating inside of your body, and your body does not know how to register and how to evacuate what you've been put inside of it. It's giving you, what we call like emojify, so how high the risk is. So you have informed information, informed consent of whether you decide to take the medication or not. We'll talk about this more later, and that's to give you an idea of what's going on there. Now, in this Balance seminar, here are the learning objectives that you can expect and you'll learn by the time we are done. So in the first module, you're going to understand why the mind cannot be clear if the body is not well. Then in the second module, you're going to discover what autoimmunity really is and why it can devastate your health if it's left unchecked and unresolved. So basically, if you're getting lazy and you're not disciplined and you're not staying on top of your life, you can expect something that you don't desire, or you're not desiring, or you're not striving for to happen on health-wise. Now, at the same time, for Module 3, we're going to simplify and we're going to get to the root cause, because it's all about that one word. It's all about inflammation. And once you understand that and you have a full concept of, oh yeah, well, something has to be inflamed. Why? And we can go ahead and figure it out. Then everything becomes so much more easier. Then the fourth one, which is one of my favorites, it's because this is really kind of the starting point, but how to confidently find reliable information about autoimmunity or anything else for that matter without feeling overwhelmed. Because again, this whole course was designed not just for you, but because information overload is I think it's number 3 leading cause for why people remain sick. Think about that, because there's so much information out there. What do I believe? And how many times have you stopped scrolling, or you said, hey, maybe this is the herbal supplement, or maybe this one vitamin, or maybe this will stop whatever's going on? It's never one thing. It's not. It's a complete holistic approach and complete holistic system that your body is. And you need to make sure that we're not approaching with the one-offs, because at one, you're spending a lot of money, you're spending a lot of time, and you're providing a lot of hope into something that's probably not going to give you that you're hoping for. And the truth of the matter is, you know it before you buy it. You really do, because you have that small sense of doubt. You're like, I really should be changing this, but you're not at the point in that moment in your life, you're probably not willing to go through that, but this is where it all changes, okay? Then in Seminar 5, you're going to learn why the top 3 popular supplements that have been marketed as helpful, why they're silently hurting you. And this is a big one. And I mean, I'll give you a little snapshot. We talk about vitamin D. Everyone thinks that vitamin D, for example, is very good for you and it's a great supplement. It's not, because a lot of people buy it. And if you understand the numbers and how people buy in the United States alone, I'm not even talking globally, why are people still vitamin D deficient? And we have to start looking at questions like that and why. And we deep dive into that one point when we go through that module in that seminar, because it's mind-blowing, the information that we uncover there. And then the last one is we're bringing it all together. We're tying it all together so you have a full understanding of what you're about to learn, and then 2, what you can expect. And then number 3 is the result that you'll have at the end of all of this. So look, the time is now, and you know it, because whatever you've tried before probably didn't work, which led you here to me, thankfully. And I can promise you this, is I will give my all to you if you give me the discipline that I'm asking for. But the truth of the matter is, this isn't about you just doing something else or trying to learn and then half-assing it. This is about you sitting in the driver's seat and regaining full control of your life. For far too long, you've been told that whatever your condition is, whether it's an autoimmune disorder or not, that it's a life sentence. And it's not. Your body's not the enemy. It's screaming for help. And the truth is, you've always had the power. You always had the power. So take a minute and watch this quick clip.
Help me? Can you help me? You don't need to be helped any longer. You've always had the power to go back to Kansas. I have.
Then why didn't you tell her before?
Because she wouldn't have believed me. She had to learn it for herself.
What have you learned, Dorothy?
Well,
I think that it wasn't enough just to want to see Uncle Henry and Auntie Em. And it's that if I ever go looking for my heart's desire again, I won't look any further than my own backyard. Because if it isn't there, I never really lost it to begin with. Is that right?
that's all it is.
But that's so easy. I should have thought of it for you. I should have felt it in my heart.
No, she had to find it out for herself. Now those magic slippers will take you home in 2 seconds. Oh.
See, what Glenda says, you don't need to be helped any longer. You've always had the power to go back to Kansas. And with the realization on Dorothy's face, she goes, I have. It's not her saying it as a question to Glinda. It's Dorothy realizing that she's always had the power. She's always had the power. You've always had the power. And then the Scarecrow says, then why haven't you told her before? And Glinda wisely replies back, because she wouldn't have believed me if she has not learned it for herself. Dorothy had to have her own aha moment. If you don't have your own aha, how many times have you tried to tell someone something, or you brought that horse to water, but the horse didn't drink? They have to have their own realization. They have to have their own aha moment, because that's when they actually get it, when the dots connect. So the whole point here is that you're here for a reason, and you realize that you have more in you than what you've been led to believe. Here's the thing. Here's the catch. The time is now, not someday, not when you feel ready, right now. Because let me tell you something, waiting is a slow, long, time-sucking death. And it's what I would call a time vampire. And waiting is allowing time to escape. And you know it, and you've known it for a long time. How many times have you said, I'll start when things calm down, or I'll commit when I have more time, or I'll try when I feel better, or I don't feel so sick? No more. That has to go away. That whole mindset shift has to go away, because the reality is, if you change your perspective for just a moment, or if something came up, your attitude and your energy would change really, really that quick. So no more. That ends today. The people who get results, the ones who transform their life, their energy, they don't wait. The people who get results, they decide, they commit, and they act. And today, this is you. Right here, right now, you have a major decision to make for your life. And frankly, the people that you love, specifically your family, right? And in my opinion, this is the most important decision that you're going to make. You can either keep going down the path that you've been going, in the one that you feel comfortable with, or you can take the leap and you can be uncomfortable for a small period of time and become disciplined and go through and get rid of what you've been led to believe is this life sentence of chronic illness, disease, inflammation, autoimmunity, you name it, right? You're going to step up and you're going to say, enough, I'm ready to heal. And let me tell you something real quick about the word heal, right? I just put there because it's a word that people understand. It's a word that's been marketed as, are you healing? Yeah, are you ready to heal? Your body doesn't heal. It doesn't. It regenerates. What's dead is dead. Your body sheds. Okay, it gets rid of what it doesn't know how to use or doesn't want to use any longer. Your body, you're a regeneration machine. Okay, but only if you have the right tools. But here's the thing, right? Your body is the body on the far right. You are an electrical being. I mean, you are full of energy. You are nothing more than energy, right? Because your body's wise, your body's powerful, and your body is designed to regenerate. Okay. Now, again, I just kind of gave something away. I really don't care. The whole heal word, yeah, you'll recover, you'll heal, but really you're going to regenerate. Your body's going to regenerate. And that's what I mean. Like, you can get past this in a New York moment that quick, right? The thing is, you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to give yourself a new set of tools. You have to be willing to take the leap of faith and do it for yourself and the other people who are depending on you. Because that's the thing. You may not think people are depending on you, but they are. They need you to show up. And that's the thing. That's what this First Balance seminar is all about. It's to motivate you and to empower you to take that first step. Now, you can't go from A to Z because of the big gap in between. But I'm telling you, we can go from A to B to C. And sometimes we can go from C to E because we'll get strong enough to make that leap. That's the gig. And that's what we're here to do, to guide you, to empower you, and to show you by giving you that aha moment that you've always had the power. We're going to uncover the root cause of what's causing your chronic disease or your illness, your autoimmunity. We're going to take back control of your food, your stress, your mindset. We put together awesome seminars that are easy to learn, easy to watch, and easy to apply into your life on the go real quick. And we're going to create a roadmap. You're going to go, deviate. Oh, no, I'm going to go this way instead, because it's going to be that obvious of where you need to go. And if there's something that you're struggling with, not a big deal. That's what the community is for. The community is going to help you ask questions, get direct guidance of saying, hey, here's a result of what's going to happen if you do X. So there's no more victimhood, no more excuses, no more waiting for permission to feel better, and no more time vampire that's going to be sucking the time out of your life, okay? So this is your life, it's your future, and it's your moment. The time is now, and you know it. So my question is, are you ready? Are you ready to regain control versus just going through the motions and saying to yourself, yeah, I'm going to go do this, but you really don't believe it? How many times have you done that? Are you sick of that yet? I know I was, and I was like, man, I just cannot keep going this way. I kept getting hives, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And I had to make that decision. I had to take that big leap. So are you ready to stop merely surviving and to start thriving? Are you ready to step into your strongest, healthiest, most unstoppable version of yourself, your 2.0? I know you are. So look, the time is now. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening, giving me your time. Give yourself the discipline, and I'll give you the result. See you soon.